Okay, I think I'm ready to make this video now, especially in light of what was just reported this morning. I want to show you why I believe what I believe and how this stuff works through me. Once again, so May 9th on the Lockdown Living Room Comedy Show Facebook page, my television show at cheapafvideos.com, best stand-up comedy show you'll ever see. New episode last month, another one coming this summer. I posted this from space weather because it's pretty wild, right? This was the size of the sunspot that was on the sun during the Carrington event in 1859, the big solar flare that sparked a huge geomagnetic storm and knocked out the telegraph. This was the sunspot that was on the sun at the time of, let's call it, the Mother's Day huge geomagnetic storm, the biggest one I've seen they said the reporter from, I've seen all the way from decades to 500 years, pick your time frame, that we just experienced a few weeks ago. I thought it was wild, so I shared it. 36 hours later, 7:55 p.m., I get a phone call. My dad had unexpectedly and suddenly died. And not only that, still angry at him for it because my mom walked in on him and she found him, which makes the third body now that she has walked in on and found. So she goes into shock. We go to the hospital. And one of the first things my cousin says is, "Man, I wasn't prepared for this. See this? Dearly beloved, you've been warned. I released this album August 28th, 2023. And that night, the nurses were talking about the sun and the geomagnetic storm. Everybody was. So much so that it got spooky to where I called my nephew, let him know what happened. And then I guess shortly after that, my nephew got a phone call from his father who said, "Hey, have you been out looking at the northern lights?" And my nephew says to him, "No, I just got word, I'm at work inside, and I just got word, by the way, that Papa's dead." And so my nephew's dad goes, he's a sleepyhead. It just goes to show how this stuff goes and works through people, even if they don't believe in anything. He says, "Oh, that's why it's so bright outside." Gave me chills whenever my nephew told me that. And then he said he just cried for like 20 minutes. He almost had a breakdown. Hadn't seen my father in 3.5 years. We just went and saw him 6 months ago for my mom's birthday. So 6 months prior to his death. And then, I don't know if anybody knows this or remember from me talking about it in a few videos ago, my company, Cheap AF Videos, we did an eclipse viewing event at the drive-in here. We're in Illinois, in the St. Louis metro area. I live on the river. I'm slightly exaggerating, but I can throw a rock at the Gateway Arch. And so we live real close to the path. We did this eclipse viewing event. And my dad and my mom actually both showed up, and my nephew and his girlfriend. They're the family members that did show up. And that was the last time that I saw my father alive. And he didn't even get out of the van to say hello. And if I wouldn't have reached my hand in, we never even would have shook hands that day. So I'm glad I did. Don't remember what the last thing I ever told him was. And that was the last time I ever saw him alive. And I hear that he was saying nice things about me. He never would say those things to me, but I heard he was saying very nice things about me. And it's awesome because the last time my dad saw me alive, he got to see me on stage. And as my friend said, this is so cool. He not only got to see me on stage, he got to see me in the sunlight. Not the spotlight, the sunlight. So that was very cool of a send-off for me. And the more and more that comes out about this geomagnetic storm is really insane. They're saying they've seen lights all the way down in Africa. But here's where it was today once this was reported. I'm like, that's it. I'm doing a video. I have to. Rocks and soil electrified by the superstorm. Across the USA on May 10th, that's when he died, and 11th, sky watchers marveled at bright displays of aurora borealis during the biggest geomagnetic storm in decades. Little did they know something was also happening underfoot. Strong electrical currents were surging through rocks and soil, the biggest voltages along the U.S. eastern seaboard and in the Midwest were as much as 10,000 times normal. This is where we were. This is where it all happened. Back in March 1989, voltages only a little bit stronger caused the Great Quebec Blackout. So now you have time and location. The only reason that I think the blackout didn't happen this time is that my family stepped in, and my mother, thank goodness, love you, thank you, and stopped it from happening, because think how much worse all this would have been during a blackout. My mom, her brain is still broken. And my friend told me whenever I called and let him know, the first thing he said to me is like, well, you knew this was coming, man. You saw it coming. Because 6 months ago when we saw him, I found out that he got juiced. And say what you want, my father was on blood thinners. So whenever I found out that he did that, I knew it was only a matter of time. So you got time, you got location, you got this Facebook post. Let's never forget that my cousin looking at me. I wasn't prepared for this. So what have you done for love today? Please send it to my mother. She was married to my dad for 50 years. They just had their 50th wedding anniversary in January. He really was her first, last, and everything. I hate that he was very overweight, morbidly obese. He just got diagnosed with diabetes. I was grateful because whenever I got that phone call, I'm afraid for both of them, to be honest with you. But when I got that phone call, I was just like, please be dad, please be dad. Because he just was about to have to start taking insulin shots. And it's just, man, that's no way for anybody to live. My mom didn't need to be part of that either. So please just send her love, even those of y'all who don't really care for me or what I say or what I do. And that's the one thing I do want to say is that my family, there's hard feelings just like in any family. You know, and we have all worked together, everyone, from picking people up and checking on things and delivering things and going and getting things. And I mean, everyone is working like the most well-oiled machine. It's a miracle. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. So thank you to my family, and thank you to my family above. Kisses. Way to go. What have you done for love today? It's the only thing that comforts you in situations like these.